Race 222, all-time in RPL F1 Tier 1, is now live. One last time for RPL F1 Season 11. It is the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It's our first time here in RPL Tier 1 in 2 seasons, and it's also the last race of the weekend. Our first race in November as well for RPL Tier 1. Welcome along, folks. I'm your commentator, Ryan Searles, and alongside me tonight, later on, will be RPL Titan Iron. It is good to see everybody, and it is good to be here for a lovely finale for RPL Tier 1. Every single championship has been clinched throughout all of the RPL tiers. So we go into this event kind of on a clean sheet, kind of not, but there are still places to be awarded. You have 4th place in the Drivers' Championship, 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship, and also we've had quite the weekend so far, and that's exactly what I'm going to start with when it comes to introducing Titan in just a moment. I want to recap Qatar last week just for those of you who are not here, and those of you who were not aware of the situation into the event. Both championships had been clinched there, but because of Jack Miles' P2 finish in the 1-2 with McLaren, that got him his best ever finish in the RPL Championship. 2nd place in the race, 2nd place in the championship. That also got TV a 3rd place finish in the championship too. He actually was retired by the game during qualifying, and he had to do a recovery drive. He finished P8. That now means Red Bull have finished in the points 69 consecutive times in RPL Tier 1. For the constructors' sake, Red Bull claimed 2nd place, and that leaves Ferrari and Aston to battle it out. Speaking of Ferrari, JTK last week got his 2nd podium in RPL Tier 1, and his first 3rd place finish. Gecko was up there as teammate for quite a bit of the event, but he was on the wrong strategy and got put back there. We also had a Sauber on debut get points, and we had a safety car free race. With that being said, I think only maybe one VSC at the very most, probably not even one anyway, but a very tame race in Qatar. Leo Lund with a 8th consecutive win from pole position. And for the sake of our other notable things, we only lost, I believe, 2 or 3 drivers from the event. Reece Dainty in the V-Carb had back pain. He actually got 2 penalty points for what they deemed going too slow and just being a hazard in some sense, but he actually went for the fastest lap attempt when really he was in pain for some of the event. So we did lose 4 drivers last week, to clarify, instead of 2. 2 Alpines, 1 V-Carb, and 1 Williams. And one other notable thing as well, Redfire Tiger got his best Tier 1 finish in a long while for Aston Martin, which does help them in their 3rd place fight. So we spoke about what we wanted to open up the event with while introducing Titan. We had quite the start to the weekend. Congrats to Uri for now officially claiming the Tier 3 championship. I have received word on that. He will end up getting P3 and winning the title from it, and quite a remarkable last few laps. His academy teammate Zora stole fastest lap from him, and really that put him in a position to need another position, and he did get that position to win the championship. Also, Turbo, championship contender, won the race. It kind of gets overshadowed from what had happened, but hey, I guess you could say the same thing about Felipe Massa in 2008. And Vade also got the podium as well. Tier 2 yesterday, Blue Gagi was part of the controversy, and so is Cookie. Cookie is in his last Red Bull race now because of everything that has happened, and he's also in his last race as a team principal. He got his team principal role removed because of what happened yesterday in Tier 2. Blue Gagi 14 was not supposed to be racing, and he chose to race anyway. Gagi was warned about his internet connection by the admin team. Some have argued it's harsh, some have argued it's not. But the rules are the rules, and Gagi raced when he shouldn't have been. So he's got basically a 2-season ban for it, and is not allowed to race in any RPL tier. He was going to be reserving tonight, or on loan, whatever the case would have been, regardless. But now he's been stripped of his assistant roles and everything else there. that was the drama there on and off the track last night, and it's led to a lot of contract changes we'll get into. But Titan, we had quite the Grand Prix last night that you were there for me with. George Williams claimed the Tier 2 championship, congrats to him, but he did not win the race. He got it stolen from him on the last corner of the last lap with a big dive bomb from the Australian Night Owl, taking his first victory. And you just gotta wonder, this place has been a place where people have taken their first victory. If anybody can beat Leo tonight, you gotta think of someone like GTK or KVS who maybe could pick up their first victory. That'd be a nice sight to see, but it's a long shot. Nonetheless, we've had a crazy, hectic weekend in RPL so far, quite the one for its heritage. And also, we had F2 cancel too.
I think we might have just lost you because you were just in the middle of speaking. Yeah, you were just in the middle of speaking and you cut out. But yeah, welcome those that are here and watching. And yeah, what a wild turn of events this has been so far over the last 24 hours. I mean the whole thing that happened in Tier 2. That whole Red Bull controversy. I mean, I'll just say my piece. I mean, to be fair, I did share that back on the 29th of October. Yeah, Blue Doggy did ask if he can do something to prove that he is good and he can race again. Egg did say. Egg, who was an admin, he did say just send a screenshot showing a thing and you should be good, but then got overruled by George the next day on the 30th. He had to be done in the lobby. I mean, it makes sense because that's what happened with Leighton over a year ago, so I understand that, but I mean, to be fair...
A confusing situation. A confusing situation for sure.
Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, things can happen. They could try to schedule things. Maybe it's not full up or whatever. I mean, you just have to share some patience, honestly. I mean, Doggy didn't do that. He showed up. He raced, and he even said that he didn't regret racing because he proved his internet was done. I mean, yeah. I mean, you did prove it. You did prove that your connection is fine, but you did it in honestly the worst way possible. And because of it, now he's basically done for the entirety of this game cycle. He's done.
And a lot of drivers have been vocal about the decision too.
And then Cookie, basically inciting the spur to stand his ground, and then even with the whole Red Bull crew, basically stating that they will quit if Gagi is kicked out of the league. That resulted in Cookie losing his TP role, and because of that,
correct?
Because of that, L74G, aka Luke, he's back as the team principal of Red Bull Academy. Last time that occurred, I believe, was around season 6 of F1. That could be incorrect.
Beginning of season 9.
Oh, beginning of season 9. Oh, I thought it was a lot older than that, period. Honestly.
Very short period, though. Yeah. But yeah.
Egg is going to be the co-team principal, but not only is he that, but as you mentioned about it, I'll actually break the news on that part. Egg is going into Red Bull. That's right, because originally he was going to be in a Ferrari, but when the whole TP situation happened, Egg got out of his Ferrari contract and is now in the Red Bull, so he'll be partnering Reese instead, and Cookie is moving to Ferrari. Now, that's going to be interesting.
A lot of other changes have happened since.
Yeah, because interestingly, that's where Cookie got his start in RPL, was in Ferrari Academy. So for him to be in the big game team in Ferrari could be interesting. But, I mean, given the whole changes and everything, I actually wonder what is going to happen with the rest of the Red Bull Academy going forward. Some guys like Ardell,
I do know some parts,
Uriah,
I'll tell you that right now. I can reveal that. I just want to kind of chime in, since you broke on the whole Gagi thing. I just want to say, So the punishment for Gagi is a 2-season ban practically. And his assistant roles removed. Cookie got his TP roles removed for it for inciting RPL's version of January 6th. So with that being said, I want to give my piece on it quickly. Okay, the punishment is fair. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be in any way, disagreed with there. It's the way it could have been avoided. This whole situation should have been avoided. And honestly, from both sides, from the admin team itself, from Gagi and Cookie itself, it should have been avoided. And you know what? There were multiple ways to avoid it, but it was ridiculous. That's as simple as that. And you spoke about Gagi saying he doesn't regret it. I just want to point out one thing. Don't live life in regret. And this can go for anything like motivational or not. Don't, because you really shouldn't. You don't want to beat yourself up over stupid stuff. Gagi was back and forth on, I do regret it, I don't regret it. I'm in a different server with him about these kind of things, and he has spoke about he did partially regret it, but and Vade and I both said to him, don't live in regret. And Cookie is okay with what he did because he was thinking of stepping aside his TP, but he really made sure his driver stood on his ground, and a lot of people are proud of that. You spoke about the changes that are going to come from that. So multiple people have contacted different academies saying, look, I am not racing if Luke is the TP. I want Cookie the TP. That's how much these guys at Red Bull love Cookie. Because of the whole thing, Cookie and Reese are going to get their last race as teammates. Cookie going over to Ferrari is correct. JTK will join him as well. JTK originally was supposed to be teammates with Gecko. Cookie was supposed to be the Red Bull driver for next season. He's at Ferrari. He's alongside Minico, which is a very interesting lineup. Two old mates there getting to be teammates again. And JTK going back to where he started his full-time stint in Tier 1 at the Haas team. So that's where he's going. And one other driver... What happened?
I believe Tadpole was going to be in Haas with GTK.
Correct. Tadpole dropped down to reserve after being full-time Ferrari. He'll go back to full-time next season. One thing about Ferrari and their whole thing, that's been the main team people from Red Bull have been contacting saying, look, I don't want to be on Red Bull with Luke there. And it's probably nothing against Luke. A lot of people have a lot of respect for Luke, but just the whole situation, they don't want to be at Red Bull anymore. George Up Williams is going to retire from the session. I'm not sure on the qualifying bans. We'll get to that in a moment. But the whole thing there, Ardell is one driver who said he would go over. I know Invade is trying to bring some people over that are not happy about the situation. Most notably, one of them being a, now champion. I won't get into who that is, but
yeah,
you can guess for your... What?
George does have a quality ban, and once this race is all set and done, and this race is set and done, by the way, well, I mean, if they're still in the server, Kieran and Metal, their season bans are lifted after tonight.
Yeah, Goatly, I'm sorry. I did steal your joke, but that is true. Also, we do have times getting clocked in. We'll talk about that in just a few moments' time, but to kind of continue on the situation, Minico and Korsman, you're wondering probably, why is Minico at Ferrari now? We just said Korsman was last week. Well, Minico and Korsman actually swapped spots. Korsman wanted to go to Haas for better competition and ending up racing at the back of the field and finding that more fun. Minico wanted to get in a top car again, and they both mutually agreed on that. Well, actually, since then, Korsman gone from Ferrari to Haas to a reserve role. That's what's happened there. Nothing else had really changed in this area, but we do have a schedule release for next season. We'll get to that in a moment. Here are your drivers in their final races for teams or their own situations here. It's Leo Lund's final race for McLaren tonight. He'll be moving to Aston Martin next season. It's Cookie's last Red Bull race, and last race is TP, also last race with Reese as his teammate. KVS's last full-time race. He'll be stepping down. TB's last Red Bull race as well. He'll be moving to McLaren. Dom's last full-time race, I believe. Also, Gecko's last Ferrari race as well. Maxwell's last Alpine Academy race, as far as I'm aware, because he'll be changing over to the Ferrari Academy once again. There's a lot of changes going on next season. There's definitely some we've missed, but nonetheless, I want to get onto part of the schedule before we get to some qualifying laps that are happening currently. We're riding on board with some drivers while talking about this, so you can kind of do two things at once. We did get a 20-race calendar for next season during Season 12. Here are your notable changes for next season. We have no Monaco on the calendar. Why is that being mentioned? Well, we had no Monaco this season, Titan, and we have no Monaco this whole entire game cycle. That's the first time that's ever happened. Spain returns, Miami is gone. Spain was actually supposed to be on this season's calendar until the track glitch was in place. So admins took it out to give it a little bit of time to change that from the F1 EA Cody's managers and everything. So now that that's at least been kind of changed to make it a little less impactful in that way, it will be back next season. Miami ran this season, gone. Portugal, China, they were both ran in Season 10. They will be back. Canada and Austria ran this season, will be gone. Qatar was ran last week and back on the calendar. It will not be on the calendar next season, so it seems like that's a track only for the odd seasons as of right now. Mexico, prior to this season, ran on every single RPL season. That will be back. The only other change that I'm going to mention that is really notable in any form is the fact that Baku was in place of Spain, and it was in the first half of the season. That's being moved to the second half of the season for next season. So yeah, those are your notable calendar changes for next season. Every other calendar has been released for RPL tiers. And one other thing, we have one wildcard driver added to the showcase race next week. That is JTK.
Nice. Well, I do know that even though the calendars were released, they are gonna get the dates are gonna get adjusted. So I'm not gonna put the calendars on socials as of yet because they have to get fixed. Because
right.
Because I was like, wait a minute, is there no holiday break in December? And Jack was funny. He was like, "Oh, I forgot. I gotta fix that." I mean, it happens.
And
we
also,
sometimes.
Right, and also it would be the season ending in March if that was the case. It's going to end at the beginning or middle of April.
Right around middle of April, yeah. Which means from the end of April to probably till when F125 comes out, we'll probably have maybe a mini championship. I'm not sure if you saw it, but you saw the suggestion that I put in the suggestion section in the Discord?
I think I did.
Yeah, I hope that idea. I hope that little idea is actually a good. I think that idea is pretty awesome, honestly. If it happens in Tier 1, that would be incredible. To be precise on that. For those viewers that don't know what the world I'm talking about, ooh, Redfire had a little snap on the bridge. Because I'm on board with him right now as a cookie. No, DK just goes in third fastest. Redfire's across the line to finish his time. He goes to sixth fastest. Not bad for him. But anyway, so the suggestion I put out was that for any one of the tiers to have a race be a double header. A double header basically means just take the one race event, and do two 35% races. Do a one-shot or short qualifying to set the grid for race number 1. Then, after that race 1 is over, take full results, reverse the entire grid. So, let's say for this field, let's say we have 19, and Minico finishes in 19th. Then in race 2, Minico would be starting on pole. And whoever won the race in race 1 has to work their way through the field, starting in last, and that's race 2.
Right, and I would like as well, and this could probably be done before the next game as well if we're ending in April like we expect to. We have the showcase race being done in the off-week break next week for the drivers. That's a Sauber parked to the fallen corner right in front of KVS. That was almost a crash if that car unghosted at a very unfortunate time. It was a car. Yeah, we'll get to some of the drivers reserving in on loan in a moment. But I would like to see a race of nations. I would like to see that because we have two Swedish drivers we can put there, Maxwell and Leo. You got Welsh drivers you can put. Take Hunted, George, Jack, for example. You got your British drivers. You got your American drivers with Cookie and Skither. Dutch drivers with Korsman and JTK. What? Italians, yep. And the list continues. So I would love to see that. And then, you know, if you don't have a 10th nation you can put the two female drivers in there of Valkyrie and Mintaki. So I would love to see that at some point. Yeah, so I would love to see that for the sake of RPL. Have them be teammates. With that being said, that would be really, really cool. So Cryptic will be the next one across the line, meaning that will he invalidated. So that means Zakaria, George, Cryptic, and Dom are currently in the elimination zone. So here are your drivers reserving or on loan. Red Fire's in the Mercedes. Hunted, instead of Leo being here tonight, is in the McLaren. Did not notice that. We have Minico in the Haas. We have Andrea being loaned out to Williams. Good to see him return. Tadpole reserving in the Haas. Maxwell in the Alpine. Penguin and Zakaria both in the Sauber. George in the Williams. George Alp Williams in the Alpine. And wow. I think that's it. We have one driver missing. Can't tell which one that is. What car is missing?
The second Aston is the one that's missing.
That's big for the Constructors' Championship
well,
places.
It would have been the loan of Bobby Lyons, but he has not shown up.
Yeah, Florian was originally supposed to be the loan, I'm pretty sure, so that would be correct.
Well, the one's not here yet.
Yeah. Reese Dainty said last week, by the way, Titan, the reason he was so slow and off the pace and getting lapped was because of back pain. He still has that back pain this week. Awarded 2 penalty points after the race. So he currently sits 11th for VCARB.
Yeah.
You were saying?
Well, I was going to mention with Cryptic, despite, even if he, with that validation that he had he not gotten invalidated and actually that lap counted, he would have been P10. He had a 23.046, which would have put him just a smidge ahead of Minico, and that would have knocked the second Sauber of Torn Penguin into the bottom, well, technically bottom 4.
Yeah. I didn't even realize Leo was not in the lineups. I really had been zoned out from talking about the whole last 48 hours. We had the championship controversy in Tier 3 between Red Bull Academy and really Mercedes getting their piece in as well. And then yesterday it was Red Bull Academy again back at it. Hunted and validating a lap he was up on.
Penguin just had a heavy lock up and a slide in a hairpin corner of turn 5.
I'll tell you right now, something we did notice last night, Titan, in the Tier 2 event, a lot of pit lane warnings for the drivers when they come into the pits.
Yep.
That will have to be removed from drivers, but they need the race directors, so that will be something that I can clarify GTK was asking about.
Goatley, I did see him do that. Danny, unfortunately, even if he tried, he won't be able to get it removed because he did get another warning later on in the event. He got it like 6 laps later. So unfortunately, he can't get that taken off.
I will say, with Leo Lund not here, it won't be a 9th win in a row, but I'll tell you, it definitely sets things up to be a little bit different. TB currently leads this session. Cookie, JTK, Gecko follows suit. All drivers who think they're safe and have retired from the session. Jack Miles has 2 wins prior in Abu Dhabi. He currently sits 5th for McLaren. He has really come second best to Leo Lund the past few times. And Dom, we're going to watch right now, who is currently in the relegation zone on a lap.
Yeah, it's just going through the first of 2 DRS straights into the heavy braking zone of the chicane of turn 6 and 7. Nice and easy exit, very solid. Coming out of there through the little nip of turn 8 into the second DRS zone. Back up through the gears into 8th gear, getting close to 200 miles an hour as he heads to Abu Dhabi Spoon of turn 9. Nice and smooth on the output. Back down to power through the triple right of 10, 11, and 12 now. Heavy braking zone into 12. Now taking it nice and easy through 13 and 14 under the hotel bridge. And here he comes down into the last couple of corners, flat out through 15, into the final braking zone of 16, down fourth gear, getting it right back onto the power on the exit. Here he comes across the line, and he goes 12 fastest. That does knock both Saubers into the bottom four, and it puts Maxwell at risk.
It looks like Dom and Red Fire, the two who just dragged the Williams out of that bottom five every single time. Bobby Lyons will be our 20th driver. He just needs an invite to the session. We have Zakaria and Cryptic, both starting laps here, right up against the tail of one another. Cryptic first, then Zakaria. This will be very interesting, these pair trying to start their laps, trying to do something magical to get into the next round of qualifying. It would knock Maxwell or Tadpole both out of the session. Cryptic is ahead, then Zakaria. Cryptic actually has a car in front coming out of the pit lane that will need to get out of the way. We'll see if they get out of the way in time to not give any slipstream. That is Iran Maxwell G right up there. Zakaria has to be very careful running this close to the back of the RB up in front. I know he wants to get that slipstream, get towed along the whole way, but you don't want to hit the car in front during your qualifying lap in the braking zone if one of you brake later, especially running the curbs like that on the outside will close you up to the car up in front, and those orange parts of the curbs you got to be super careful about. We've seen drivers go over those time and time again and pick up track limit warnings, track limit penalties. Cryptic 52.7, Zakaria looked like he was just right up against that. He still needs a little bit to go if he wants to get up in the top 15 and through. It's Maxwell's time he needs to beat. That's about 3/10 in front. We have drivers up in front of them, retiring from the session. The only one in the top 12 not retiring is NRM KVS. Here is Cryptic first. He does not have a lap. Zakaria does. Cryptic goes 10th. Zakaria goes 15th fastest. Because of both of them getting in the laps they did, Zakaria knocks Tadpole and Maxwell out.
Just for clarification, the reason I stepped out of the lobby was so I can try to add Bobby so I can get him in.
No worries about that. We've got Maxwell, who's invalidated. He's out of qualifying. Torn Penguin is coming through the sector split now. He needs to improve. If he does improve, he'll beat Zakaria and knock him out. That's the same said for Tadpole. Torn Penguin is up by 1/10.5. Tadpole will come through the sector split in just a few moments' time. The checker flag is waving for our drivers. It looks like, based on what Penguin is doing, Andrea might be safe, but he's just going for it anyway. KVS, checkered flag. He was in the pit lane, but he did not retire. He may have been looking at some of the driver's speed traps and some of the driver's sector times just to get a good idea for Q2 and Q3. Here is Penguin running out of deployment as he comes across the line one last time. Will it be the kick-salver in? It is. It knocks out his teammate. Andrea will be safe regardless of what happens. It's up to Tadpole now to knock out another Ferrari Academy teammate here. Will he be out or in? Tadpole, does he improve as he comes across the line? He does, but he only puts Zakaria one place lower and puts himself one place higher. Torn Penguin is into the next round of qualifying, pulling off the upset on Tadpole, Zakaria, and Maxwell. That's quite the bottom four there. Tadpole, podium finisher this season. Zakaria's never had a podium in Tier 1, never had a win in RPL. Maxwell, 14 poles, 13 poles to his name. George Williams, his teammate, had the qualifying ban and the championship for Tier 2 out of qualifying. TB, Cookie, JTK, the top three. No McLaren to be found.
Alright, Bobby's all set, so he's in and it's good to go. So he'll have to start P20, unfortunately, but hey, I mean, at least he's in, and we're good there.
If you ever want to wonder, as some people would say, what the grid looks like without Leo Lund, here it is. TB, Cookie, JTK is the top three. It's a Red Bull, Ferrari, Ferrari. Then you have McLaren, Mercedes, McLaren. Hunted, Red Fire, they're in the mix. Ding is in 9th, Cryptic's in 10th. We have Q2 coming up next. Both RB slotted their way in there. Both Williams slotted their way in there. One Haas, one Sauber. Two Alpines got eliminated. Zakaria is out. Tadpole relegated as well. That's your bottom four. Bobby will be joining us as the second Aston to help their hopes for third in the Constructors' Championship. And in fact, I'm just going to take a look here quickly for previous Constructors' finishes. You know, Aston are racing Ferrari for that spot. Aston have only finished third once. That was back when they were Racing Point.
Oh, yeah, the very famous Racing Point. That, I believe, most likely, that was probably during the days when you had guys like Matt GW racing around in that car. Matt GW, I think probably Z-Tex was probably involved.
Maybe Corey
somewhere.
Marshall.
Corey Marshall, yeah.
Maybe.
Corey Marshall was mainly Mercedes, as I knew, during those times.
But he did have a few Racing Point outings, I want to say.
True. That is true.
Nonetheless, we're going to start Q2 here in just a moment. But I'll tell you right now, with what we've got in here, I want to talk a little more on the Cookie situation with having his TP removed. He said he was thinking of stepping down in that way as well, so he's not too bothered by it, but it definitely sets the sights for the rest of the weekend. We've had quite the weekend so far. Tier 3, the championship contender, doing all he could by winning the race, Turbo. His third race win. Uri in the Red Bull camp getting the championship, but in a controversial fashion. With Zora stealing the fastest lap, meaning he still needed another place to get the championship sealed. He did get the other place, but it forced the Mercedes of Neski to go wide off the track with a defensive move that is going to be getting him penalized. And then Red Bull really started off the weekend with controversy, and then they finished it off yesterday with Cookie and Gagi. And it's going to leave, as we said, Titan, it's going to leave it to where some people will not be staying in the Red Bull camp after this weekend, who thought they originally would. So, as George also did clarify, Cookie was also on his last leg, last warning, as team principal too. So that also probably had some part to do with it as well. But you won't see Gagi in Tier 1 or Tier 2 or even F2 anytime. And speaking of F2, just to kind of add fuel to the fire, we had that event canceled earlier this morning. So yeah, a crazy 48 hours in RPL. Ding is our first one on a lap, but we're gonna go with either Hunted or Jack, the McLaren.
I believe
so
it
we're
is
not
Jack.
inside the top 4 there
Hunted, yeah.
in Q1.
You're on board with Hunted. I'm keeping an eye on Ding, just for the heck of it, just to see how he handles himself. But yeah, some of these guys are pretty close together. I do see Jack is right up on Mercedes. Is that a Fire or KVS he's with? It's KVS. So Jack is going to get some helpful tow in the DRS zones with KVS, but will that dirty air while messing up the corners for him going into Sector 3? I wonder.
You just gotta wonder. So, we have sector times 52.4 for KVS. Remember, this is his last full-time race. He'll be stepping down to a reserve role. KVS, most podiums without a win of our drivers yet to win. He currently is slipstreaming the McLaren, and then being the guy who's helping the McLaren behind as well, the other one, of Jack. It's crazy how it all works out. Ding sets the first time. It's going to be the benchmark. 23.2. He kept it valid. Hunted, then KVS, then Jack comes across just for Gecko to smash that out of the park. Gecko, it's his last full-time race with Ferrari before going over to V-Carb. You have more coming as well. TB is the only one not on a lap that is out there. Minico for Haas backed off on the out lap, maybe pulling off to let some guys go and not be near anybody. He invalidated the final corner, but would have had a 23.4. 6 drivers got their laps valid on the first go.
Yeah, next up, come across the line is going to be Reese, who just ripped apart all of his ERS deployment. That puts him at the bottom of the pile with a 23.6. Stick right there below. Well, yeah, we have a couple of guys out to go for another attempt in regards to their runs.
And here we go with the Red Bulls.
Yeah.
The Red Bulls giving some slipstream to each other. One last time this season. It's Cookie and TB, the last time as teammates as well. TB is going to pull off and let him go. TB or excuse me, Cookie pulling off and letting TB go.
Yep.
Excuse me right there. Nonetheless, TB has had quite the history at Red Bull. Some wins there, some podiums to his name, and in fact, he'll be going over to McLaren next season. The car he was in back in Season 6 alongside Joseph Loke. He'll be alongside Jack Miles in the fastest car.
Hey.
Jack and Hunt had sit 3rd and 4th, both Welshmen there. TB will come to the final few corners and then set his lap.
In that sense, for the TB, he's going from one J to another J.
Yeah. It's the spice up of J's. A little wiggle out of the final corner, but no harm for TB. He'll go fastest. 21.9 from the Red Bull. Cookie comes to the pits. He was just helping out a teammate right there. That's all. We have more drivers starting a lap. We have Andrea on the mediums. GTK is on an outlap. Dom is on an outlap as well. Both Williams are trying to get their way into Q3. They've done a great job of doing so this season with Dom and Red Fire. This time it's only Dom trying to get through for the Williams team. Of the pair of them who've got through a lot. Now you've got Andrea trying to help out as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't discount out on Andrea as well, because he's had some really good performances in qualifying with the Alpine. So I wouldn't discount him to go for a shot to try to get himself into Q3. Dom is more the outlier to definitely seal the deal, perhaps. Can he get it done? I think it's possible. I mean, both Williams are just starting their laps now.
Andrea got his best finish earlier on this season in RPL with a top 5 in Monza. His home race. He'll come through turn 1, come through turn 2, and then turn 3, where these curbs can be very slippery for the drivers. We saw it yesterday a few times in the Tier 2 race where drivers had to back out because of going side by side through that section and just it being no avail. Turn 5, where the 2021 dive bomb happened for the championship. 3 profile corner as well. Now down to the chicane. Ooh, Andrea locks the rears. He went out very wide on the entrance and paid the price for it. He'll continue to keep going. He'll use all the battery possible. He's got to make the most of this medium run, and then I think he's going to go to the soft tires. So instead of using a used set, he'll use the medium set. Sector 2, 53.8. It's definitely not what he would have liked, but he'll go into the final sector, the triple right, and then the reprofiled section here from a few seasons ago. It must be said, he didn't really run the reprofiled section until season 9. Andrea's rear is very unstable, and you could see that slip up quite a bit. He will at least get a time on the board, and it is just still not going the way the Williams would have wanted it. Look at that, 2.6 seconds off. It's like the 2014 Ferrari right there for him. Dom will cross and Hill make a better statement there compared to what the teammate did. So one Williams having a very unhappy time. The other Williams having a very happy time outperforming his car up to 7th. JTK went to 3rd as well, making it a Ferrari 2-3 and proving why he is a wild card driver for next week's showcase event.
Yeah, GTK really starting to really shining in regards to the qualifying, and he's really stepping up really good in this Ferrari as he's getting the lines all set in stone. We have 3 cars still yet to set a lap, one being Cookie, who's out on the track now. Minico and Torn Penguin yet to come out.
I just want to hit on the JTK point, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I just want to hit on it because he went from Haas performing really well, getting the results, and then when he went to Ferrari, his first 3 to 4 races were not that great. You could argue maybe he didn't deserve that car with the way he was performing, but it just takes a little bit of time to get warmed up and get used to things, and he showed exactly why that was the case for him, getting his first 2 podiums now back-to-back.
Since GTK is also a previous Tier 2 champion as well.
Correct.
Because he has the experience in the quicker cars, but Tier 1 is a whole nother animal compared to Tier 2. I mean, you may have, the only assist you have available to you in Tier 1 is just line, and that's it. Heck, I've heard that there's a couple of guys here that don't even use line at all. There's no traction control,
right.
No ABS, none of that stuff. And that's why you're seeing
And I know
lockups all the
JTK
time.
is thinking of turning that off too, of what he said recently.
Well, that'd be pretty
Here we
interesting to
go.
see.
The
TV
favor being
paying
repaid
favor.
for Cookie. Yeah, exactly. And I was just going to say, oh, Red Fire's up to 5th. That's a Mercedes 4.5. TB pulls right out of the way and just cuts in front of the McLaren there. I'm not sure if that's Jack or Hunted. Luckily, it's Hunted. He's not on a lap. JTK no longer is the reigning champion from Tier 2 since George Up Williams claimed the title last night and last week. Last night officially, last week in the steward's office. But he won the championship for this guy, Cookie, who is currently on a lap and below 10% on the battery just momentarily. Cookie has been a part of controversy so far this weekend and will be moving to Ferrari next season. He'd love to end off Abu Dhabi with a bang. It's not going to be a Leo Lund pole sitter tonight at all, but it could be Cookie who got the most recent pole when Leo was not here, and it is Cookie fastest in Q2. Look at the gap at the front of the field. Less than 2/10 inside that top 4. Jack is up to 5th now, I believe. Hunted starts a lap for McLaren. Can he find the time? The last time he raced for McLaren, he didn't have the best of outings. He'd love to change that tonight. He actually has a better chance to in Abu Dhabi, probably one of his better tracks, up by 500ths. We have the V-Carb trailing. That is Reese. Remember, Reese said he has some back pain, so of course you'll see he's probably a bit off the pace compared to Cryptic because of that, but I know he'll try his best nonetheless to at least get up there to minimize the damage.
Yeah, I'm actually on board with Reese on my end, and after Sector 1, he was just a smidge over a 1/10 of a second ahead in Sector 1, but here we go for Sector 2, as Hunted getting a little help from Jack, who goes almost 3/10 up in Sector...
Wow.
In Sector 2, did not get the resulting on Reese, but to be fair, with Reese right now down in P12, he's gonna have a chance to possibly knock Dom out of the running for a possible Q3 for him. Here comes Hunted now, out of the last corner. How much will he improve by? He goes up to 5th, and Reese goes up in the 9th. With a 22-6 even for Reese and a 22-1 for Hunted, that puts him just about 400ths ahead of Jack, and Dom is actually just coming out now. Thorn Penguin, by the way, just going across, would have had a 24-0. I would have put him 13th, but he's invalidated on the final corner. So that means he lost lap he was on and this lap.
Torn Penguin, yeah, he is
Penguin's
currently
out.
in
He's done.
the bottom 5.
Yeah,
Out. He's
got the low fuel.
Yeah, you're right. He will not get anything done at all. The only hope he can have to at least not start 15th here is hope Minico invalidates, and, well, all Penguin would do is just coast around on low fuel mode the whole time on a lap and make sure he has one in, which is possible. Andrea, the first time he had a go at a lap, it was quite the mess. This time, he'll try to have a go and get himself into Q3. We have Ding currently at risk in 10th. Dom currently the first one in the drop zone. Andrea is up by a 10.5. Of course, he'll need more than that, but remember, it was down at this upcoming chicane where the trouble started for the Italian. Hunted ahead of Jack is a nice surprise there for McLaren, but that's still no McLaren inside the top 4. Are they saving their stuff for Q3? You just gotta wonder. Andrea this time doesn't go as wide on the entry, arcing the corner, and doesn't rear lock it, so we should see more of an improvement, but he invalidates nonetheless. Going out of bounds, that's gonna mess him up, and if he at least has enough time to get back to the line, he'll get a lap in, but he's gonna have to recharge and make sure that that's the case. Very unfortunate. It would have been 3/10 up, even though he's backed off a little bit on the ERS. He is good to go, but he's still going to have to save battery. Minico starts a final flying lap as well. Dom is out on track. What's Dom doing in the first sector? Ding or Dom? Back to our little Texas joke. It might be the Texas joke between these two with who gets into the next round of qualifying. Dom is currently down by 4 thousandths. Minico just completed the first sector for the first time. 17.5. we have quite the end of qualifying here, and Andrea did get it just about fully charged here. He'll have one more go at this. Cryptic, invalidated. He's out of qualifying. Ding currently goes to the first sector. Was he up or was he down? I couldn't really see. I'm going to go to the race director and look myself. Ding is up. We have
Dom's 4 thousandths off in Sector 1.
And 2 tenths up in Sector 2. It's an improvement from Dom in what is also his last full-time race. He's dragged this Williams into Q3 quite a bit this season. Can it be another go, this time in Abu Dhabi, into Q3 for the Williams driver? One last effort. 2 more corners for the Williams. Is it Ding? Is it Dom? Which one's gonna get it? Dom exits the final corner and into the next round of qualifying. Reese Dainty's on the bubble. Minico will be out. Minico just misses out in the Haas. Not much more he probably could have done, being 12th. We have more to come. Ding is up in the time. He can knock out Reese Dainty. 2 former champions going at it. It is Ding getting in. He puts Dom in the bubble now. It's up to Cryptic and Andrea to dispatch them. Cryptic invalidated, as we noted. Andrea currently only up just marginally. He might get another car or two, but might not get in. It's going to be right on the edge here for Andrea, and he gets 1. But not enough. Reese Dainty out there, I believe. Ding got in. So a battle between 2 champions to get to the next round of qualifying. It was the Season 1 champion compared to the Season 9 champion getting in. You have 4 Merc Academy cars, 2 McLaren / Alpine Academy cars, 2 Red Bull cars, 2 Ferrari cars into the next round of qualifying. Cookie, TB, Gecko, the top 3. We say goodbye to 5. These are the 5. Both RBs. 2 Ferrari Academy cars, 1 Haas, 1 Sauber, Penguin, Minico, and a Williams of Andrea. Cryptic and Reese both out, but Reese did out-qualify Cryptic, though. Again.
Yeah,
Usually the
Cryptic
guy
just
who's not
couldn't
qualifying did it.
Yeah, Cryptic just couldn't have the luck. He couldn't stay within the track limits. He got the ding treatment, is basically what we're just saying it here.
Yeah.
But the top 3 within a tenth of each other. I was probably with who will be the top 3 by the time Q3 is over. It could be a toss-up between Cookie, TB, and Gecko.
So, chat, give us your predictions then.
Oh my god.
Oh boy. What happened? Do I want to know?
Okay. So unless it stopped and just disappeared or anything, I believe Gagi just hijacked the safety car because I just saw the safety car pass by to go back to possibly go on the track. If that's the case, I think Gagi just hijacked the safety car.
We're gonna find out from Gecko.
I would say probably if the safety car is on track, I would say right about now it's probably they'll probably run into it on the DRS straight.
Well, I'm gonna ride on board with Gecko and find out because it will be right around here. We'll
Hunted,
see. Up now the
Hunted's
McLaren jumped loose in the queue. Yeah, Hunted has run loose. Yeah, give us your predictions, folks. What do you think the top 3 will be? What do you think the pole time will be if you want to go that far as well? I don't know what to say with this top 3. We've not seen the McLarens up there inside the top 3 in any of these sessions so far. So really, it's gonna be maybe a last-minute surprise from one of them. It's quite the shocker so far not to see any of the McLarens in the top 3 so far. But you know what? Save the best for last, as they would always say, right? It's Jack Miles' playground here in Abu Dhabi, but Hunted would like to say something about it too and try and get a 1-2 to end off the season. That would be quite the story for them. And McLaren are trying to also add on to their points tally as well. If they do get a pole, McLaren, it will be their 9th in a row. If they get a win tonight, it would be their 10th in a row.
It must despawn because I don't see the safety car on the track.
Yeah, same here. I was trying to look for it. You want to talk about jokes, though, while we start our laps, Titan? I guess, Invade got banned from the Ferrari server by Tadpole, because Tadpole still has, control over that server, so a little nice, Little nice message there Tadpole was sending for getting eliminated in Q1. Minako, speaking of Tadpole and the Haas, Minako says the Haas is much better in the race trim easily, so Minako probably happy with that qualifying regardless of the result. Hunted is coming through the first sector now. We'll ride on board with the McLaren. I'll give it to you by sector 3. We only have 2-3 corners to talk about here. It's a chicane, and I want to talk about the chicane because we actually had 2 drivers pick up a penalty in this area yesterday, but we also had a collision with a McLaren and the Mercedes and Red Bull yesterday in Tier 2 in that area, so you've got to be careful giving etiquette racing room in that section. Just because if you don't, with this contact model, you're going to go into the wall, and that did happen. 52.8 for Hunted, he invalidates. So we'll give it to the next driver for Titan to cover. That is the Ferrari of Gecko.
Yeah, Gecko just coming out of the spoon corner, as we say it, in the turn 12, a heavy braking zone, bit of lock up through there, but nice, easy on the turning. Now, easy on the throttle through the hotel bridge. Now into the last couple of corners here. He's going to have to use it, all that ERS deployment available just as he gets to the line. Here comes Gecko across to the benchmark. 21.8 for him. That's already quicker than his Q2 lap time already. KBS now across.
That is a very good benchmark.
He really screwed up somewhere. He needs to go again. Cookie's coming out of the last corner now. Let's see what he's got. 21.6.
We still have more to go. It's Ding and Jack, the next ones to cross. We have TB starting a lap. Red Fire is third. Red Fire got 5th last week in Qatar. Hasn't had a podium since the Season 8 penultimate round. We've had a lot of podium finishers since and a lot of chances for Red Fire to do it. He hasn't done it. Jack Miles, 3rd fastest for McLaren. Still missing out here on the laps that are most needed. Ding is 5th, and here goes the Red Bulls at it, back with a little bit of slipstream games into Sector 2, or sorry, the chicane, the start of Sector 2. Cookie pulls over and lets TB go after giving the tow.
Yeah, TB, nice tow given to him by Cookie, as TB's just roaring up through the gears. There is a Ferrari ahead of him. I believe that's JTK on his time lap. A little slide on the entry, but nice and easy on the exit. Really smooth exit from the Season 8 champion, as TB is really pushing the limit on this Red Bull and pushing the limits of the track itself. A little slide, whoa, more slide out of the hotel bridge through 14 now, out of 15 into the last corner of 16 now. Nice and easy there, but here comes TB across the line, 22.4. That puts down P7. That slide out 14 costs him quite a lot of time, probably at least a couple of tenths.
Gecko and JTK still behind Cookie. The last non-Leo Lund pole sitter was Cookie back in Hungary. He's looking to repeat that tonight, and it would be quite the way to have a send-off for Red Bull.
You know, when you were talking about jokes and stuff.
Yeah.
I just seeing in the contract chat, with JTK's contract that they put up at the bottom, it just says contract can be extended or exterminated.
Oh my word!
And
I
was
thought
like,
that was
exterminated.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I guess
if GTK doesn't do good in Haas, he's gonna get killed off or something. Like, what in the world?
Does that contract include JTK F1 fan being exterminated too? I hope not.
I hope not. No.
Yeah. It seems like we have more of the JTK fan club joining us. It's good to see you guys. Wow. All right. Well, our first runs of qualifying have been completed, and it's Cookie currently on top over the 2 Ferraris. TB did not have the best of times out there. He's 7th right now. It's been a long time since he's been on pole. You got to go back to the end of Season 8, but honestly, I must say, really since then, Titan, it's probably TB's best chance to get a pole tonight.
Oh my god. I'm in the gutter.
Oh no. I don't want to know.
I'm in the gutter from what you just said, from what you mentioned about with Cookie being on top. I'm in the gutter on something, but I'm not saying anymore.
I would hope not, but,
Maybe,
you know, I'll keep you going on the
maybe
joke.
I twist the word on it, but you know what? I'll just say it in this probably in this sense. It's been a while since Cookie's been on top.
I'll keep you going with the joke since I think you're a little much on that aspect tonight and a little, well, self-contaminated or self-exterminated, but I'll say this with Cookie. It's very interesting that he's going from blue to red, and I already mentioned why in the Discord server, so it's quite fair for him to go from blue to red when he kind of, well, some people think he caused January 6th yesterday, as Goat League joked about, so yeah. Dear Lord. Alright, well, Cookie is our only one out on track, and it's our final event in Season 11, so I want to go through all of our pole sitters since I won't be able to do a RPL video for that. We've had 3 different pole sitters so far this season, Korsman, Cookie, and Leo Lund. Cookie started off our season on pole in Bahrain, and it would be quite crazy if he can get another pole tonight, ending off the season. He's had a pole in Bahrain and Hungary. Korsman got the pole in Silverstone for Ferrari, Ferrari's only pole on the season, and then McLaren with Leo Lund only have taken the other poles with it. One final flying lap to cover the season. How about we're going to cover Cookie's potential last full-time Red Bull pole lap here, and what could be another pole lap based on him trying to extend the top time. Turn 1, turn 2 look clean. He was using a lot of curb there. Already below 70% on the ERS. He'll have his teammate up in front to help out. 5 thousandths he's improving by. Look at TB go very wide, exiting turn 5, just to give a little bit of slip here as we go down to turn 6. DRS wide open for both. TB, let's look at him. He's an overtake, and then he's putting it a hot lap, so Cookie gets the best slipstream here, then pulls out the way. Now, Cookie will be helped by that, but a small lockup from the American going into the braking zone. Our Season 10 champion has DRS applied now and has below 25% on that ERS. One more sector to go. What's the improvement looking like? It's by less than a tenth, and it's to try and keep pole position for what could be a 3rd time this season.
Yeah, Cookie's really showing some more improvements as he's going through the last sector here to try to improve and put an even bigger buffer between himself and the cars ahead and the cars behind him. Here comes Cookie at the last corner now to wrap up that time of his. He will improve, and it's going to be over
21-4. Cookie, provisional pole for the 3rd time this season. TB is the next one across the line to start a lap. Jack Miles, or sorry, that's Hunted, excuse me, in the McLaren, right behind, trying to pick up the best slipstream, trying to get all the tow around the racetrack to the best of his ability. TB coming through the first sector, he's got a lap. Hunted doesn't. TB improves by a 10th and a half. He'll get the favor repaid to him by Cookie, but did Cookie back it up a little too much right here? TB is quite close to the Red Bull, up in front of Cookie, who currently sits on pole. Cookie pulls out the way a little early, but he does not want to give slipstream to Hunted either. TB now coming through the chicane. Hunted still right behind. TB using a lot of battery here, but not getting so low on the battery due to the whole slipstream game being played right there and better ERS management. 3.5 tenths TB is improving by. If he improves more in the last sector like Cookie did, this could be a front row lap from TB. And his last pole, TB, you'd have to go, like we said, all the way back to the end of Season 8 from him. TB, his best start this season, inside the top 3. Quite a few occasions that's happened. Most notably Monza when he was closest to pole, 3 tenths off. A big slide out of the final corner, but TB goes to the front row, then Hunted is going to be in the top 3 for McLaren, getting his best qualifying. Hunted, who previously has not even started in the top 5 in a long time, but it's been a 3rd place start prior. It's a 2nd place start right now. Cookie retires in the pit lane, believing he's safe. We got a Ferrari coming across. Gecko is next. Is it going to be another pole for Gecko? He's had one last season. It will be one this season. No, front row again. Gecko, with so many 2nd place qualifying spots this season, it's another one to his name. Jack Miles. In the past, this has been his playground, but from Q1 and Q2, that looked like the complete opposite. Jack Miles has the hotel section to go and 2 more corners. Jack Miles won this race the last 2 times here, had a pole once here before as well, and he'll only be 5th. We have Dom crossing next. He's not had a lap. He will still not have a lap. He invalidated. JTK is next. JTK, we mentioned one of those drivers in the showcase race. There's some others who are in it as well in this Q3 spot, but he's trying to be the best one and get his first pole tonight. He's on the 3rd spot right now. We have the Mercedes crossing. That's KVS slightly improving. Red Fire is next. He does not improve. We have only a few more to go, and I think the only one is Ding, who is actually out there on a lap. It is going to be Cookie on pole for a 3rd time this season, and for Cookie's sake, all time, that is his 24th pole, tying 2nd all time. What a way to send off your final race as team principal, your final race for Red Bull before going over to the car that sits 2nd and 3rd for next season.
Yeah, and look at the gap between Cookie and Gecko. It's only 92 thousandths of a second. That is how close Gecko came to getting pole position, but just couldn't seem to get it done. Yeah, Jack being all the way down in 6th place. I mean, to be fair, when he won in Season 9, I believe, if I remember right, he didn't start on pole. I believe he was somewhere around in the top 5. So, could Jack go for 3 in a row with Abu Dhabi? We'll have to wait and see, but I'm looking forward to this one, to this race.
Yeah, it was Ding who stole pole from him that day. Jack got pole in Season 8 here when he won. Cookie, Gecko, JTK, the top 3. This is going to be quite the race. Cookie and Gecko, 2 rivals, going to go at it. Hunted, 4th. Not his best qualifying, but it could have been. TB, 5th. Jack, 6th. Jack getting out qualified by his teammate. But it's not Leo. KVS, Ding, Red Fire, Dom, all down there. 7th to 10th for the Merc Academy.
At the last second, just before he switched over, I saw the safety car going through the hairpin.
I'm going to Twitch clip that and just look back at that myself.
Yeah, it was just at the last second, but yeah, I got Soggy being more defined again. He's on the track in a safety car.
You think Zora's trying to go for another fastest lap? That's
it.
I want to see this. I couldn't see it.
It was right in the hairpin. It was just before the grid, the finished results went away, and we went into the loading screen. It was like right in that last second. It was in the background at the hairpin.
Yeah. Well, give us your race predictions for one last time this season. A fully dry race as expected in Abu Dhabi, and also a one-stop expected from the drivers as well. One last time in Season 11, we've got to say. Can you believe that? Well, we do have the next season calendars. We'll tell you right now, before lights out, we've got 25 seconds. Bahrain to start off next season for every tier except for F2. McLaren have already clinched the constructors. Leo's already clinched the drivers. It's all battles happening behind we'll pay attention to. 10 seconds until lights out. What happens tonight, Titan?
Oh, the usual fun.
DRS trains? I think so. It's Abu Dhabi. One last time, we'll get the lights going on here in RPL F1 for Season 11. Race 222 all time. The 5 red lights come on, and the 5 red lights go out for one final time this season. It's time to bring the action. Cookie gets clear of Gecko. JTK stays side by side, and Jack looks like he's falling down the grid. He fell down not just one, but by 2 places, and trouble at the back. Tadpole, another lap 1 incident for him this season. That's very unfortunate. Now, we've got cars behind, all trying to get themselves situated here, filing in a position for turn 5. Reese down the inside of Dom, and that's Tadpole and Andrea, or sorry, Minico and Andrea, both going round there at the turn 5 hairpin. So, everybody, without DRS, trying to file in here with Slipstream or make some moves down to the chicane. A big stack up now. It's going to cause the RB to go wide. The RB is damaged.
That is Reese that got clocked.
He was the one not reacting to that stack up.
Yeah,
that all happened
back
in front of
Jack.
and he has damage and a penalty. Now, Cryptic trying to cover off Bobby. Bobby has gained 9 places. What a monumental first lap from him. 2 places for Ding. Further back, Red Fire lost ground there in the first lap. He's racing RPL Zakaria. Now, side by side here, the Mercedes is ahead. Zakaria, Maxwell, they both gained 3 spots. Cryptic gained 4, but of course our biggest losers were the guys who spun. Minico, Tadpole, Andrea.
Yeah, I mean, Jack at the start got a bit of a horrendous launch at the start and lost a few spots. Same applied with Red Fire, and then that stack up in the chicane. Reese came a bit too hot in the braking zone, went into the back of Jack, then got hit from behind by his teammate, a Cryptic. That caused some major mishaps there, and Reese, unfortunately, damaged out of the gate, but let's hope it's not too bad. Zakaria in trouble.
Big kerfuffle back there. Cookie led lap 1 of the race. He also led lap 1 of the season. Gecko wants to lead this lap. Gecko and Cookie, 2 previous teammates. Big send into the corner there behind. It's TB and JTK getting affected. Hunted goes to 3rd. He's never had a Tier 1 podium. Could tonight be the night when he outqualified Jack? He gets a first Tier 1 podium. We'll find out later as they all trade positions behind. JTK coming back at it. He passes TB back. Zakaria and Penguin and that whole train 14th on back were getting very nasty there into turn 5, and I think they still don't figure it out here all behind. You got 2 Haas's there, 2 Alpines, and 2 Kick Saubers. Gecko is out in front, and you got to think with Leo Lund not here, Titan. We keep saying it this entire season. Gecko's not won since race 30. It's been a very long time. Gecko's out in front, leading lap 2. 2 different lap leaders so far. Ding steals fastest lap. But Gecko, it has been since May 9th of 2020. It's been 192 races. Tonight without Leo Lund surely has to be his best chance, and he's also on the same strategy as the top 5 this time compared to last week in Qatar when he wasn't.
Yeah, and speaking of the strategies, by the way, take a look here at the graphic here. TB, Jack, Bobby, Red Fire, and George all onto the hard compound tires. Everyone else is on the medium compound tires. Let's see this train. If anyone's looking to make a shot down there, I see TB looking at a sneak peek against GTK, but backs off, decides to wait on the next zone to go for a shot. Further back, by the way, Penguin lost 2 positions to Tadpole and Maxwell.
Can't go to good camera angle, but a lot of contact down here. 5 cars under a blanket for position. Reese and Red Fire trade spots. Torn Penguin leads the train. Minico at a Tadpole. Maxwell trying to get his elbows out as well. This train is trading places like no other right now. Both Haas's went wheel to wheel. Both Alpines went wheel to wheel. You know who lost touch with that train? RPL Zakaria. He pitted. Gecko will lead another lap out in front, and he'll be the one in front of this whole DRS train. Ding is up there in the fight as well. He's not won in a long while, but guess who's also up there? AMS Bobby, who started plumb last, picking up the fastest lap. How about that? 11 places.
And very solid stuff for the Aston of Bobby popping on in late and really showing his style here as these cars are heading into the hairpin here. Low bump by TB into GTK, but let's take a look as these guys go down the DRS straight. Who's willing to make a move? Who's willing to go for it? Here comes Jack on the inside against KBS. Gets the move done. He is up in 7th. Go further back. Cryptic getting past Dom to slide himself into the points. And by the way, Cryptic just lost touch of the top 9 with the DRS. Pass for the lead between Cookie and Gecko. Gecko reclaims the lead heading into the spoon corner.
Cookie does.
TB.
JTK gets overtaken by TB right there. So Cookie and TB, both Red Bulls making overtakes. Very interesting stuff there. All those drivers who were overtaking or getting overtaken there inside that top DRS train are moving teams next season. Crazy to say that. Big fight further back. Minico is the one out in front in that back train there in 14th. It's going to be a miracle for one of those guys to get points, but they know what's at stake if there are mistakes in front. Cryptic, as you said, also got Red Fire. That's for 10th. And we said Bobby gained places. To be correct here, he's the biggest gainer by 11 spots on lap 1 and still more to go. His next target is his academy teammate, NRM KVS, in his last full-time race. KVS is being put vulnerable, and he's going to have the move coming down the inside at turn 5. Bobby lags and gets spun out. So Bobby's very good start has really just changed in a heartbeat. Down to 13th, spun around. Jack gets JTK. Red Fighter gets Cryptic.
Yep. And I was just about to mention, with Bobby having the fastest lap, his fastest lap is a 24.9. The closest person to Bobby in regards to a quickest lap is Cookie, 3/10 back. Meanwhile, TV, by the way, just cleared a ding to get back in the 4th, and it's all over the back of Hunter, thinking about sneaking a move maybe, but no, he waits.
Wow. Hunted almost went for a shot there on the inside of Gecko. That could have ended in disaster. It's so hard to follow through the section, so you got to be very careful, even if he meant to make the move or didn't mean to make the move. Ding got overtaken right there, and it's an 8-car fight now with Bobby being put out of the train. We're on to lap 6 of the race, and I must say, I'm looking at the chat, kind of catching up my messages. Cookie very happy with that pole position. Can he replicate it into a second win of the season?
Who knows, but I just switched over to, on the gaps, just switched to the leader. The top 8 is within 2.5 seconds of each other. That's how close, tight these guys are in regards to DRS trains. Let's see, TB is going to make his slingshot ahead, going for a podium. Meanwhile, his teammate in trouble against Gecko. Gecko gets the lead. TB attempted, but Cookie, last second, thought of sneak peek back to swing back, but that caught TB out guard just slightly, but not enough. He gets past Hunted into 4th. Meanwhile, Ding loses 5th to Jack.
How about that from McLaren there on the attack, it looks like, with Jack. He really needs it. He really needs to gain these places. We have side-by-side action further back. Ding and JTK. JTK started up there, but has fallen down the field. He started up in P3. He's down to P7. Further back, Penguin and Tadpole are duking it out. This is a 4-car kerfuffle here. George F. Williams and Tadpole contact. George shoves him out wide. Tadpole may have turned in, but nonetheless, it's Tadpole being put worse off right there. Gecko leads this race. Cookie's in second. These two this season, probably about at 6 different circuits, have traded blows. You just gotta hope, at least at the front of this field, we get a thriller where these two keep it clean this time, this season.
I've also noticed that Jack is actually gaining ground up on Hunted and the guys ahead, so maybe the McLarens, Jack and Hunted, will probably swap positions. Hunted will probably let Jack go through, as Jack is currently doing that now. So Hunted's like, okay, I had my fun, Jack. You do what you need to do. Hunt down these guys ahead.
The problem for Gecko is he doesn't have his teammate up there. He doesn't have JTK up there. Red Bull have both their cars there. McLaren have both their cars there in the fight. Cookie trailing Gecko no longer. Cookie re-inherits the lead of the race over Gecko, his biggest rival this season when it's come to racing wheel-to-wheel on track. Further back, Cryptic and Bobby are trading spots for the last point spot. Cryptic had it. Bobby now has it. Cryptic couldn't shoot one back up the inside, so he concedes the place fully there. Further back, Minico and Tadpole run close as teammates there, right into Sector 3.
Yeah, despite that little lag in the spin there by Bobby, Bobby managed to claw back and get back into the points-paying positions here, and he did so by getting around on the outside against Cryptic. I see that's pretty fair credit to him. Now, he is not in the DRS, as Reese, by the way, is the first in.
Oh!
We have a VSC. What the heck happened?
Excuse me, Andrea, no front wing.
Ah.
Andrea will pit because of that. He's got to get it woed down and not at the pit lane wall. It's a lot trickier to get it in without hitting the barrier when you have damage here. And he'll repair that damage under this virtual safety car. That puts a halt to things for maybe one last time this season. Whoa! Right at the front of the field, the VSC was ending, and look at that. Gecko got caught out there. So did guys behind. JTK as well. That was everybody scattering at the front of our field, and that could have been catastrophic if they didn't avoid it. That could have been big damage and a big airplane crash. KVS now looks to take advantage because of the mess up by JTK there. He's on the back of Ding now. Red Bull won too.
I'm willing to bet the reason what happened with Gecko was that because in that the VSC ended right in the braking zone, so maybe Gecko panicked and didn't want to get a drive-through.
I would think so. I mean, that VSC was quite abrupt, whether it's how long it was out or how quick it ended. Nonetheless, TB on the back of his teammate. He's won a race already this season, but that was back at Austria. Right now, he's looking to do so in the full-time Red Bull spot. He wasn't full-time when he won in Austria, just to clarify. It was Cookie having a race ban, I believe. Or sitting out one. I don't remember what it was. But nonetheless, it was not full-time. He's now full-time. One last time with Cookie as his teammate. These two have worked really well together. A lot of people said at the start of the season when TB wasn't V-Carb, he should have been in it full-time, but he's now in the lead of the race this time. Jack threw for third, too.
Jack was all over the back of Gecko and makes the attack done and dusted. He's now in the third. The Red Bulls have switched, as you mentioned it. It looks like Cookie had a bit of a bad exit. That's going to make him vulnerable. Jack looking on the outside to potentially go and get the second place position. He's trying, but just can't seem to get it done. Maybe a switchback, though. What a switchback. But Cookie's not willing to give it up just yet. Oh, look, touch.
Argy Bargy. Jack has the inside line now, and Jack is through.
Yeah.
What is it about the final sector for Jack at this circuit? He seems to love it. Formula Endurance, it worked out well for him. F1, it worked out the last time we were here in this race 2 seasons prior. He won the race from it. Racing Corsman.
Yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. George made a move there, and the McLaren thought he won the race and then got attacked back at the last corner.
Yeah, Jack took a page out of George's playbook.
And look who's in this train, Titan. Red Fire Tiger for Mercedes.
Yeah.
Don't count him out just because the fact he's on the hard compound tires. The hard compound tire drivers sit 1, 2, 9, and 10.
Look at it, and Gecko has actually clawed back that lost time that he had against these guys. He is possibly looking at maybe a challenge to try to catch Cookie if necessary as they head into the chicane now, but Gecko a bit too far back at this time. Just can't seem to get it done as of yet. We got 2 more cars going to the pit, that being Tapple and Maxwell. They just came in.
Jack Miles reeling on our race leader. Had the poor qualifying, maybe saving the poor qualifying pace for great race pace in the McLaren. Nonetheless, he's only behind TB by less than 3/10 right now as we go into the hotel section. 9 cars up at the front of our field fighting for the lead, something we've not said often this season. Cookie just had a moment there right behind Jack. That's put him into the battle with Gecko now, further back for third. Cookie is in. He's the first one to blink. JTK joins him.
Yeah, now these guys are on, those guys that coming in are on the medium compound tires, so that means for Gecko, Haunted, Ding, and KVS, this is going to be their opportunity to predict if they want to go in the very next lap and see if they can try to cut them off. Will the undercut work for Cookie and GTK? Who knows? Who knows? And we'll have to wait and see on it. Because let's look at the map right now. Cookie and GTK are both coming out now. They're going to be behind the Sauber of Torn Penguin.
Jack Miles still stays behind our leader, but he almost hit him in the braking zone. Red Fire Tiger gets ahead of Ding. Academy teammate swap right there on the DRS straight. Hunted almost went on the back of Gecko as well, so a lot of drivers just having trouble getting it woe down tonight in the braking zones. Jack going for the attack around the outside, taking the lead for the first time. It's our 4th different leader of the Grand Prix on lap 11.
Yeah, fair credit and fair move by Jack to get himself into the lead. This is basically a crucial sense. Meanwhile, Hunted, by the way, coming out of that chicane between the DRS zones, he got evil on the exit of turn 7, which can't hurt him. And Gecko, by the way, just got a little evil at the exit of turn 14. Keeps it safe, but they're coming in anyways.
Gecko, Hunted, in. Anyone in that train behind joining? Red Fire, Ding, KVS, they stay out. So Gecko and Hunted looking to protect off a Cookie and JTK here. It's a hard compound tires for those guys. I gotta talk about Jack for just a second though, because yeah, I was just gonna say Jack has won, by the way, just to quickly mention it. He has won 2 times this season. Once for Aston, one for McLaren. It would be a great way to send off the season, winning in McLaren again. And you spoke about Cookie coming out of the final corner. He's right ahead of JTK. He is also ahead of Hunted and Gecko by quite the margin now as they come out behind the Kick-Sauber. Penalties being handed out to 2 different drivers, and our lead looked like it was at stake for just a moment.
Yeah, Cookie and JTK got better of that undercut. They got a 2.4-second lead as TV just reclaimed the lead going into the spoon corner. Ooh, gets a little slidey near the exit of it, but keeps it intact. He is hanging on into that and has that lead back. Looking a little further back, by the way, as JTK just gets by Cookie. Whoa. Interesting.
For the net lead.
Yeah, very interesting.
Good stuff there. And he's also got to get George. George will not play easy here with JTK. The 2 reigning Tier 1 champions. JTK gets shoved out wide. George cut him off. Ding and KVS are in. And George is trying to help out McLaren here with Hunted and Jack. Both of them will be behind the Ferrari very soon. With what George is doing, George shoves him out wide. Doesn't allow him to come back on. Cookie is now alongside the Ferrari. Really, George is not playing nice with JTK, the one who won the championship prior to him. Our 2 reigning Tier 2 champions both go out wide. A lot of contact. Cookie tries to get through. Hunt is now there, and Cookie gets spun. Cookie into the gravel and off. Contact with George. It got personal there between the pair of them. Cookie down behind Gecko and Hunted now. Hunted now has a chance to get JTK here. So George really trying to play the team game for McLaren as the Academy teammate. Here we go for the net lead. Hunted has never won in Tier 1. Maybe he has a chance to do so tonight after that.
Yeah, maybe. But to be fair, I mean, I'm bored and seeing that whole kerfuffle between JTK and George. I mean, the little tab over and JTK going wide in turn 12, that's on JTK. He didn't have an opportunity, wasn't alongside enough to be warranted the space. So George did get the defensive arms out. As Gecko, by the way, just did a George attack.
Wow.
Gets past Hunted in turn 12. Very nice stuff there. But out of that final corner, though, JTK was basically equally side by side and was still forced wide. So probably George could find himself in trouble for that one. But turn 12, that one was legal. Final corner, maybe not.
It's exactly why I hate the raceable surface rule. It just makes no sense. A lot of drivers in the Twitch chat just questioning that as well.
Plus, when GTK came back on, George didn't allow him to get back onto it because JTK came close to smashing that wall on the left side.
Fair credit to JTK for keeping his head in, though, and being patient, not losing his head right there, because it is so easy to lose your head in that kind of situation. Gecko back past JTK. Academy teammate swap right there. And also, Jack still leads the Grand Prix over TB. We're about to get to the halfway point of the finale. Looks like TB and none ERS right behind Jack. Looked like he could have gone for a move there, but he just slotted it a little bit off the throttle pedal and stayed behind. Hunted as well got overtaken by both Ferraris since that whole thing happened there with George, so really nothing doing there. George still staying out, by the way, in the Alpine, and Cookie did catch up back to the train after his little moment he had. Our leaders stay out, and I'm sure they still will stay out for a little bit longer, being on the hard compound tires. Yeah, the raceable surface rule to me, I'm just going to be straight up honest. Jack is in the same boat as I am, and he has been for a while. He's probably one of the only top guys, as far as I'm aware, that disagrees with it heavily as Gecko sets the fastest lap. It just doesn't make sense. You can force off another driver and get away with it practically within the rules. And fair credit to George for playing within the rules, but the stewards will have something to say about that if he wasn't. For our lead, TB reclaims it as he goes through on lap 15 into the chicane. Both yet to pit, but TB wants to be the first one to pit, it looks like. At least when he's ahead of Jack. Gecko also had a GTK for what's the net lead here between the Ferraris. Remember, the only Ferrari win this season was back in Silverstone with Korsman, and Andrea is out. Jack retakes the lead, but that...
He got lagged out, and he lagged out.
I was just going to say.
Quit.
Yeah, so that's our first retirement from the Grand Prix. Cookie is on the back of Hunted trying to go through here. Hunted is having an attack, trying to get to the Ferraris who were maybe thinking a move, but they did not. Our 2 leaders have yet to pit. Do they come in this time? Zakaria's out now. That's another lag out. Wow. But could that have been a retirement on track because he retired first? I don't know.
No,
maybe not.
That's what always happens when the lag outs happen. If you get lagged out, the retirement.
Well, I've seen it both ways.
Comes up first, and then the session happens immediately after.
I hate that though because I've seen it happen both ways. You don't really know. It's very annoying that this is even a thing we're talking about still, and it's getting more frequent by the day. I just mentioned in Twitch chat our part of our calendar features for all tiers next season, by the way. Yep. TB goes back pass for the overtake. Yep. And it just keeps swapping hands there. They might cost themselves time, but they're doing it at least at the right moment to where it's not in the braking zone costing them too much time. And remember, Gecko still holds our net lead.
Yeah, I just took a look at the results from the past races here at Abu Dhabi as Jack switches back with TB here. Jack, by the way, if he somehow does pull off the win here tonight, Jack will be the first first three-time winner at this circuit. He has that record current, and he's still going to be the all-time winningest driver at this circuit with 3.
Yeah. And we have a 4-car fight for the net lead. And I'm just going to say about that, that's very... Oh, our 2 leaders are in.
Yes, they
are. Our 2 leaders have boxed. And yellow flags, that's Maxwell out of the Grand Prix. Is that going to be a safety car? Will that change things? Bobby pits and gets a penalty on pit entry. That could get removed, as you were saying earlier before, Titan. I just want to say, this battle for the net lead with Gecko, JTK, Hunted, and Cookie, and then our 2 now medium runners, is very reminiscent of what it was in Season 9. Some guys on better tires, some guys not. And a 5-car fight for the lead. This could become 6 when they come out. Jack and TB on medium tires behind KVS.
Okay.
Where is he? He's ahead.
Well, anyway, actually, that is going to have to be clipped because actually Max retired on the track. His car is still moving.
All right, so that is what that was. That's our 3rd driver we've lost. JTK now takes back the net lead of the race. Jack passes Ding. TB trying to claw his way through as well. He's got KVS. His next target is Ding. These 2, in fact, some RPL champions going at it here in this scrap. 2.9 seconds the gap is between Cookie and Jack. Cookie, meanwhile, trying to pass Jack's teammate Hunted the long way around. Can't pull it off. TB gets Ding, though. Hunted can't protect for much longer. He's got Cookie still attacking side by side. Ooh, Cookie,
close.
Late lunge through.
That was close, but very good, but really good attack there. The red fire is in, so GTK has the lead now.
Yes, the more they fight, though, the more they lose time to Jack Miles on those medium tires who is gaining. And we did see the similar thing happen last night where the medium runners did get up there at the end, but they did not really pull DRS at all. So we'll see if the same thing happens or not. Right now, it's a 4-car fight. Could become a 6-car fight. Might become an 8-car fight with KVS and Ding trying to pull along in that train. JTK, his first 2 podiums happened the last 2 weeks. Could the 3rd time be the charm? Right now, it's a Ferrari 1-2. And like I was saying earlier, Silverstone, their only victory this season with T.S. Korsman. You got a driver who's never won the Dutchie, and you also got Gecko who's not won in 192 races, trying to go for the lead.
Gecko tried to go for the lead. He slammed the door on Cookie, who tried to attack. To go for second, but here in this stretch now, GTK lets Gecko through to take back the lead. Hunted still hanging on in 4th place spot, but Jack is clawing away and trying to get himself back in
back in this group here. Meanwhile, Fire, by the way, just cleared Crypt to get himself into P10. I was actually just about to note that when Red Fire came back out, he was right smack dab behind Reese down in P11, but Red Fire is back into the points of P9.
Bobby went for a big send there on Reese Dainty, and they're almost coming together. Dom behind as well. Gets a track limit penalty side by side here in the final sector. How are these two pulling it off? Reese Dainty gets clipped on the front wheel of the Aston and has to concede right there. I was just going to say it was a cracking battle going on, but contact right there ended that. Jack and TB are right there now for our lead. Flashbacks to season 9 in this race with a train at the front of this field fighting for the victory, but there's more cars in it now. Here comes Jack. His first target's Hunted. He makes way of him, or does he? Hunted did not let him through there.
Nice holding off for the time being, waiting on this corner in the chicane here. But yeah, but behind TB, Ding and KVS are saying hello. Hunted, horrible exit out of the chicane.
And Jack goes ahead. We've got Hunted now vulnerable to TB going the long way around. Contact! Major contact. Hunted and TB leaning on one another. TB through this time, but Hunted's big mistake costed him.
That was a bit of a launch attempt because Hunted did slide up just a little bit. That resulted in the contact. So, but, I mean, there was no harm, no foul between those guys. I mean, well, to be fair, Hunted did lose a little bit of time there. But now Jack back up looking for a podium spot. His next target is Cookie. But knowing with Cookie and his experience, he is not willing to let this up without a heavy fight.
And you gotta wonder, why should he? It's his send-off race for Red Bull. The storylines with the top 4 right now. McLaren with Jack trying to win their second race with him at the team and also trying to do a 3 in a row at Abu Dhabi. Cookie trying to win his 21st race for Red Bull and his last race for Red Bull. GTK, who's never won, going for the lead over Gecko's not won and 1,600 plus days. Big wiggle there. Big accordion effect. Cookie still has a chance, but he gets overtaken by Jack. Jack is up to 3rd. Ferrari won 2, but for how much longer? Behind that, Cookie and TB are having a go at it. Nice little scrap here. TB is through on Cookie. Cookie, in a span of 2 chicanes, has gone from really 3rd to 5th. Or excuse me, 2 DRS straights. It used to be a chicane. That was 2 DRS straights there. Cookie went from 3rd to 5th in. Great battle. Great scrap at the front of our field. But that accordion effect, they've got to be very careful about. Some drivers having a really tough time getting on the brakes.
Yeah, because that chicane, you have to be very careful. Carry too much speed, you're going to result in a big smash and a lot of broken hearts. I mean, think about it with Reese. He had that happen to him. As Reese picked up a second penalty on his end. But, I mean, with TB being let through ahead of Cookie, he is on a fresher compound and on a softer compound. So, TB being sent through, it is basically, I think it's a very good strategy called by Red Bull to put that heavy pressure on both Ferraris ahead, because both Ferraris are on the hard compounds. Here we go. Looks like Jack is looking to eye up Gecko for the second place spot. Is Gecko going to try to put the same fight? No, he does not. He can't get it done, but he's trying to fight it over. Into the chicane we go.
Oh!
Jack gets it ahead of Gecko.
TB had a late last-minute dive. Jack has got the lead of the race now over JTK. JTK not willing to give it up, though. We have behind that Gecko and TB getting very argy-bargy, elbows out. A little skirmish there from one of the cars allowed Gecko through. TB trying to go the long way around now, trying to come back at it. A lot of touching, a lot of contact down at the corner. TB has the inside line now for the next corner, and he's through.
Very close wheel-to-wheel racing between TB and Gecko. Gecko now on the outline looking in. GTK now all alone now. He's got Jack in front, TB behind. But JTK, he really needs to put on a historical type of fight to try to reclaim the lead from Jack and even try to hold off against TB. I mean, GTK, I think he's got the capability, but he's gonna have to do some major finger crossing in order to do it.
Yeah, Lennon says, what in the esports gap am I seeing? Top 8 within DRS. Top 8, though. All do not have penalties except for KVS. He's probably just happy he's in the fight. JTK is reclaiming the lead this time over Jack Miles. Jack Miles on the fresher tires, not being able to pull the DRS gap, but Jack runs in the back of the leader, JTK, punting him into the corner. I was talking about earlier so much the drivers having trouble getting it woe down there in the braking zone. TB's there for company, but Jack repasses JTK for the lead. Here comes TB on the inside. JTK, in a span of the DRS straight, goes from first to third. Gecko now for a dive on Cookie. These two have traded blows so many times this season. It looks like another battle between the pair of them, but keeping it clean. Jack leads over TB, both on the medium tires. It's going to be a quite fierce battle for these hard runners to beat the medium runners tonight. And by the way, I just want to speak on our 3 drivers who've retired. Zakaria is the only one who said anything about it, I'm pretty sure, saying, why is it every time I disconnect, the game retires me? That's what happened to him and Andrea. As you said, Max are retired on track, and we got a crash. That is AMS Bobby again in the Latifi corner, in the wall.
He's got heavy damage on that wing as well. Oh,
okay.
Again.
And that's a virtual safety car deployed for the 3rd time he hit the barrier.
Well, that was weird. That was a little bit strange, honestly.
Yeah. Tadpole also coming in, I believe,
he backed
well,
up
and he retires.
and went forward. And I'm thinking maybe he was trying to turn, but just couldn't do it.
I know. That or he tried to do it.
Oh, he did retire in the pits.
Yeah. Tadpole in, Penguin in, maybe their fastest lap attempt.
Yeah.
One final lap around the season for that.
Well, Tadpole is definitely.
Yeah, Tadpole goes to softs. Penguin goes to mediums. DRS enabled. Look at this 8-car fight for the lead. For the victory. KVS, it's his last full-time race. Oh, a big moment. Gecko slides. Cookie is there to pounce now. Cookie is going to go around the outside. Now the inside for the next corner. Gecko bashes into him. They collide again, these two.
Bash. Whoa. Jesus.
Gecko ghosted now, only just ahead of Hunted. Hunted having another car inside of him. This is deja vu of Austria earlier this season and Mexico last season. It's happened again to Hunted. Gecko using battery just to get out of his car, and he still can't get out of him. He's out of him now. Put that out of context. Someone, please. Help me. I'm losing it. Well, we've got 6 laps to go in the season, and I'll tell you right now, as we were talking about the drivers in the train, ding, it's his last race before getting Leo Lund as his teammate. Aston are trying to help themselves in that battle with Ferrari, but look to be losing out. TB regains the lead in his last race for Red Bull. He'll be joining Jack next season. What a way to do it by getting 1-2 with Jack right now on our boards. Guess what? Gecko and Cookie, because of their contact and major touching, they've lost DRS that second part of the train. It's going to be a 4-car fight for the victory. The problem for GTK is he doesn't have a teammate there. Same with Jack, but it might be the Red Bulls going at it. Gecko getting swarmed up here, eaten alive. Ding was trying to have a go. Hunted went through. Ding now tries the cut back. Gecko has the inside. They'll go wheel to wheel. Gecko still ahead.
Ooh, little touch. Yeah, Gecko added that little bashing around with Cookie. The last lap prior, that really hurt him really badly. And then that sliding around out of the hotel bridge, that really hurt him even further. And Hunted almost wanted to crash into him.
Well, I must say, our medium runners are not entirely pulling away. Especially with the lead swapping hands the way it has. JTK is still there. Cookie is still there. It's interesting because JTK originally was going to be joining Cookie. Yeah, Reese is in. I was just going to say, JTK originally was going to be joining Cookie next season at Red Bull, but they're both going to be in the Ferrari Academy next season. Jack repassing TB for the lead. But a little bit later on the straight that time that was. Gecko getting through unhunted. So one McLaren gets overtaken, the other overtakes for the lead of the race. I really feel like GTK and Cookie, both in the hard compound tires, could work together here to get through on TB and Jack if they just find the right time to do it. TB could have had a go, but he didn't there. Hunted, got overtaken, and does not overtake Gecko back. So it looks like Gecko, who got put in a top car for this whole season, 1,638 days, I believe, since his last victory. Got to go back 192 races. Might not happen this season, but maybe once in the future we could say Gecko's a race winner again. Hunt has never had a podium. You got a good chance tonight. George really helped him out, but it just didn't end up happening. And our top 4, all in the fight, all having a chance with 4 more laps in season 11. 4 more laps on the lights in Abu Dhabi.
I wouldn't discount out GTK to pull out a surprise and maybe get a victory on him, because looking at the battery availability, Jack and TB have roughly 70%, while GTK has a near full battery available to him.
It's really setting yourself up for the last lap. Right now, TB is going back past our leader, Jack. TB back out in front of the lead of the race. Hunted and Gecko.
If I was GTK, I would try to stay in close proximity to these two, and maybe on the final lap get one car on DRS zone number 1, and then just unleash everything you have to get it done in the second one.
Ooh, Gecko pinched Hunted at the braking zone there. KVS gets ahead of Ding. He wants to fight regardless of the penalty status here. He is one of 5 drivers to be inside the penalty box. And I just want to say, Titan, I wasn't here for Vegas, but I saw JTK's unlisted video on the YouTube. Wow, what a big moment for the Dutchie. Almost losing DRS. That could have costed him. He's lucky it didn't. I was just going to say in Vegas, he actually did a trolling moment on TV, you could say, where he waited to the very last moment to pull out of the lead for P2 at least, the lead of the DRS train, and allowed TB to be the one left without DRS there. It may be a situation here where he has to think tactically, has to think smart here. Obviously not having one of those slides on the last lap in order to do it over over Jack and TB, that is for JTK. Or Penguin with a penalty.
I was going to say, just for a second, by the way, Jack almost lost tab on TB, but here he goes on the inside into the braking zone here. He does get it done. Reese steals the fastest lap, by the way. Well, I think we're going to have another situation between Red Bull and V-Car, because the fastest lap before Reese took it was out by TB.
Gecko clears Hunted down the braking zone. Here's KVS having a little dive down the inside, going for the slingshot. Nothing made of it there. We have 2 laps to go, and as you said, you're really just setting yourself up for the final lap. Jack having great ERS management. TB not as great. JTK better, and Cookie having better. Look at that. 3 different tails at the front of our field, really, compared to 1. 2 laps to go. 2 laps to go in the season. It's 2 Red Bulls, 1 Ferrari, 1 McLaren. 2 champions in Tier 1 and 2 champions in Tier 2.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, as you were mentioning about it in regards to TB, I mean, as we've seen over numerous races over the season, he does have trouble in managing the ERS deployment. His ERS deployment is a little on the trickier side, but it doesn't affect him much as TB goes down the inside, reclaims the lead into the chicane here, but I'm thinking Jack is going to get it back here. Whoa, he almost lost it.
Yeah, and TB regaining the lead is going to set up Jack here for Sector 3. Jack is through and ahead. Further back, JTK and Cookie trying to fight it out. Cookie going for a late lunge, dive down the inside. They've got to be careful not to lose DRS if they want to have a chance, these 2 hard runners, for the victory. JTK ahead on the inside line. Jack now backing it up. JTK down the inside. He thought about it, and he almost went for it on the Red Bull. But we go to the final lap for one more
because of that, GTK
lap of the
lost
season.
A lot of ERS available.
Yeah. Jack on 92, TB on 73, JTK on 53, Cookie on 73. 1 lap to go in season 11. Big, big moment for Gecko. He almost loses 5th place.
This is gonna
1 lap of the Grand Prix as well. It is going to be wild. Turn 5 is TB's first opportunity to get another win on the season. Jack's had 2, TB is 1. Cookie also has 1. You know who's never won? JTK there in 3rd, still having a chance. Here comes TB, using the ERS, turning on the jets, and going through. Does Jack have a go back at it? He uses some battery and waits. Oh, stack up, major stack up. Gecko's down some places. Gecko is a penalty. A lot is happening behind, but our main focus is for the lead. Reminiscent to season 9. Jack is closing in and gonna go the long way again. Trying to go for 3 in a row in Abu Dhabi. Side by side. Flashbacks to Jack and Korsman. TB gets loose and Jack is through again. Jack doing exactly what he did 2 seasons prior. Cookie goes for a dive on JDK. And TB goes for a dive on Jack. It's all happening in our top 8 places. Jack is trying to go for 3 in a row in Abu Dhabi, and he's gonna do it. Jack gets 3 in a row. A photo finish to the line, neck and neck. Cookie and TB for their send-off races for Red Bull get it on the podium, and Gecko gets crashed. Oh my word, what a finish in Abu Dhabi. Jack Miles at his playground does it again. TB is 2nd, Cookie is 3rd, a Red Bull double podium. GTK misses out by 300ths. Hunted is 5th. Ding, KVS, Gecko, Red Fire, and Cryptic round out our points. I must say, Gecko, whatever happened to him, he got turned coming across the line.
Holy cow, what a...
And Titan, it looks like our neck and neck fights are not done. George got done in this section yesterday. Penguin might have a go for 14th. Is he going to have one last effort? No, he's not. You have Reese Dainty doing donuts for his final Red Bull outing. And V-Carb, with Cookie as his teammate, that'll be 13th and 14th. Reese Dainty stole fastest lap, and maybe stole the show for the last 15 seconds here. Catch your breath, folks.
In reverse.
Finishes in reserve. Jack Miles gets his 6th RPL victory. You know who he's equal with now? Mally 41 for 10th place in the all-time win list.
Nice.
It's McLaren's 26th victory. It's 10 in a row for McLaren. You know who started that? Jack back in Hungary.
Wow.
I feel like I'm going to pass out just being out of breath right there. Jack Miles, the game gives driver of the day to. You said it after qualifying, Titan. You know, could Jack pull off another Abu Dhabi victory? He did it again, not from pole position. And 6th to 1st from Jack. I've got to say, that's my driver of the day. 3 in a row in Abu Dhabi.
Now Jack basically showing he's the master of this circuit. And a celebration going on through. Jack with the win. Red Bull 2-3. Fair stuff for them. I mean, that war between Cookie and JTK right at the end could have gone either way, but that was a really wild and fun race.
I really wish we didn't miss what happened with Gecko as well there at the end too. Jack Miles wins for the 6th time at Abu Dhabi in all tiers. He's joined up there by 2 Red Bull guys at the end. I could not get final results there as I stood on the podium for a little too long. I hate that glitch. We have too many glitches on this game. Nonetheless, we had our final results on the screen, but we don't. You'll have to read them off to me if you'd like, Titan, but we lost 4 from the event.
Yeah, so Jack is your winner. TB 2nd, Cookie in 3rd. Let's get the rest in just a second here. But yeah, Jack is your winner. JTK have 4th. As for the rest there, you had Hunter in 5, Ding 6, Kid 7, Gecko 8,
Redfire 9, Cryptic rounding up the points positions. And those that did not, those that didn't finish into the points, you had Domin 11, Minico 12, George in 13, Torn Penguin 14, Reese having a little fun at 15th and the fastest lap. Temple was 16th, and the 4 cars we lost, Andrea in P20, Zakaria P19, Maxwell P18, and Bobby in P17.
So, TB with that podium, it's second all-time now, ahead of Reese and Skither with podium 52. I find that so hard to believe, but TB really making a name for himself. Jack's 10th podium of the, 11th podium of the season. TB's 7th, and Cookie, it was his 5th podium on the season. Race 222 is in the books of RPL F1. It's also season 11 in the books. And what a chapter this was, for sure. Well, daylight savings time is tomorrow. The Grand Prix is also tomorrow, too. What we have coming up are brand new seasons. Tier 3, Tier 2, F1 in Bahrain, F2 in Silverstone. We have our showcase race next week, though, commentated by Owen and Mally41. 18 drivers in that. That will be next week. That should be a fun event to watch, Titan. Any final words in the season you have? Because I don't have any. It's just all going to be written in a chapter, and we'll talk about it for a while to come.
I mean, season 11 had a lot of great racing. I will say we've had plenty of fights. We've seen some shocking moments. We've seen glitches ruin people's races. Also we had a dominant champion in regards of Leo Lund and McLaren being the first of the non-Big Three to win a Constructors' Championship. I mean, I think it's kind of funny that RPL and McLaren, they win a realistic Constructors' Championship before the real McLaren team does it.
Right, yeah. In a way, at least in the modern era, yeah. Yeah, fair point.
And you know what? I think just because of the meme of it, in both in-game and in real life, McLaren winning a Constructors' Championship before GTA 6 comes out.
It's very nice to see Jack Miles win 3 in a row in Abu Dhabi. It's very nice to see TB get a 52nd podium and get a podium in his send-off race with Red Bull. Cookie his send-off race as team principal and at Red Bull with a very special group he's put together for sure.
Yeah, I'm as you mentioned, I'm just taking a look at the season 12 calendar. I'm surprised with some of the tracks that are on this list because you mentioned about with Baku being at the back end of the season. I do see that it's 12 round. I see Portimao is on the calendar. I can't wait for that track.
Portimao, Spain, China, and Mexico return. Miami, Canada, Austria, and Qatar, they are the ones left off that were on this season. And Monaco left off for this season, season 11, and next season in season 12. So that is the situation there. Well, 16 viewers. I don't think they want us to leave here, I see. Well, we'll give you one more rundown on things for what to look out for. Our next season's coming up. We'll have a Christmas break coming up during next season, but we'll have round 1 first before all that happens as well.
That was a car you put it out there. So F1 actually just put out they revised the Sunday schedule. And it looks like for basically in our time zone, from where we are, Eastern Standard Time, qualifying is going to be at 7:30 a.m., which is 12:30 p.m. UK, and the Grand Prix itself is going to be at 5:30 UK and 12:30 for us.
That's 15:30 UK time, right? That's 3:30 UK time.
Let me see.
For the Grand Prix. 'Cause that's military time, I see. You said 5:30. Oh, that's 5:30. Is it?
No,
No, it's not. It can't be.
It's yes, it's at 12:30. It's the race is at 12:30 for those in the U.S.
We'll
and
yeah, we'll figure it out. Well, yeah, we have our upcoming seasons in 2 weeks. We have our schedules already out for the upcoming seasons, and we have our showcase race next week. So do not forget to tune into that. Titan, any last words? I just want to give a big congrats to McLaren and Leo Lund on their championships, though, and other tiers as well for the drivers who claimed the championships there.
I have no other words. I'm all set on my end.
I hear ya. Well, we shall see what happens in the Grand Prix tomorrow, and also our showcase race and our brand new seasons to come. One final time, ending off season 11. Ryan Searles, RPL Titan Iron, bringing you the action. Now ending off the action for the season. Another chapter is in the books to bring on now season 12 of RPL Formula 1 Tier 1. And we'll be with you throughout the way. Your two commentators, Ryan Searles, RPL Titan Iron, signing off for the night. We say goodbye, we say goodnight, and we say see you next time. We'll see you at RPL Formula 1 for the showcase race, and you'll see us too next season in Bahrain. Until next time, folks, have a good night, and we will see you then.